Hello, excited to be here today with my colleague and friend and CEO of Brighter Strategies, Liz Scott, talking about her book, The Ripple Effect.
Woohoo!
Before we jump in and do that, it's we were just talking about how lovely the weather is. It's summer in the DMV. Y'all know what that is, you know. Liz, what is your favorite summer activity thing to do in the DC, Maryland, Virginia region in the summer?
This is a little known fact about me, but I cannot swim. But I know the look on your face. I've gone scuba diving, I've gone snorkeling. Believe it or not, you don't really have to know how to swim to do those sorts of sports. But I'm not a really strong swimmer, but I love the water. I love sitting by the water. I love
Oh,
seeing the water. I love walking by the water, just going down to the
okay.
Potomac and walking along the waterfront or going
Oh,
down to Occoquan, or if I'm really lucky, getting out to the actual beaches. Those are all my absolute favorite summertime activities.
oh, yeah, I'm with you. The water is so therapeutic and healing. Love that. Love that. But you might need to learn to swim. I don't know. All right. Well,
I
let's get
envision
into it.
myself in a class with a bunch of 4 and 5 year olds. I'm like paddling away.
Hey, however you get there. All right. So, the ripple effect, how social sector leaders build networks that transform culture. So tell us, why did you write this book? Why now?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I should say the ripple effect has nothing to do with swimming since it sounds like water oriented. So the ripple effect is about relationships, not about swimming, but about relationships. And the reason that I wrote the book is doing organizational consulting. We interact with hundreds of clients a year. And the thing that seems to hold true is that so many of them really have challenges implementing whatever the changes, whatever the new strategy is, new CEO, new board, whatever that is. Implementation is really sticky and it's hard for folks. And we know that even the research, Harvard Business Review says 70% of change initiatives fail. And I don't think it's for lack of trying. I think it's because we don't build time to build the relationships to make sure that these change initiatives will actually move forward. So the book is really about cultivating relationships, but also creating that space and environment for organizations to be successful, to not be part of that 70% that's failing, but the 30 or hopefully more percentage that's thriving.
Yeah, that is so true. So talk to me about how the content of this book really relates to the work that you're doing here at Brighter Strategies, that we do as a team at Brighter Strategies.
Yeah, so the book is really a compilation of best practices. So I pull in
Mhm.
examples from different clients that we've worked with, things that have worked for them. There's a famous expression that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And so that's really what the book is. It's examples of cultures where organizations are thriving, sometimes some examples where, maybe this is something you don't want to do. But at the end of the day, Brighter Strategies, we just did an industry-wide survey in the nonprofit space here in the DMV. And one of the things that we learned in that survey is that almost 70% of people who work in the nonprofit industry are feeling burned out. And so you think about, there's all this change happening. A lot of it's not super successful. People are feeling really tired. This book is meant to be a refresher, essentially, to say there is a really good way of doing this. And here are some great case examples. So it's a bit of a blending of, here's some science, here's some research, but here's a real life example of how this plays out. And then here's some practical things that you as a leader can do to help improve or increase your capacity in this particular area.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, when I'm reading a book like this or books that purport to help organizations create change, I'm always looking for those practical tips, those tools that you can immediately put into action, which makes me think about one of the chapters, which is on transform through authenticity. And in that chapter, you really talk about the fact that the best teams weren't the most talented, but those that were teams that where people felt safe, and I'm really like into the psychological safety thing, and that they take risks and they can be vulnerable. Like, what can leaders do to create that culture of authenticity and trust so the team can perform?
I love that question, and that is actually one of my favorite chapters in the book. I think that there's two things that step out for me. One, that if we want to be authentic, we have to be vulnerable. And oftentimes people think vulnerability is like, I have to show emotion, I have to cry in this meeting. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about being real about who you are and where you're coming into this conversation. So many people will say, like, when you come to work, leave your personal life at home. Well, you can't do that. It's all with you. And so I think being authentic is about being vulnerable, but it's also about creating space for other people to be vulnerable, to be able to say, I'm having a really bad day, but I'm here and this is how I want to show up. And, I think that's really important. And so as we think about leaders, what are some small steps they can take? One step is actually to get to know your employees. Go for lunch with people, get a cup of coffee with somebody, walk around the building, enjoy the beautiful weather that we're having, just get into a spot where you are thinking about them as a person and not just, essentially like a widget that has to get some work done. And I think the more we can come together and engage with folks and do fun team building things, particularly during work hours, here at Brighter Strategies, for example, we do a volunteer event once a quarter. We bring everybody together. I mean, you've been to them, right? Like, we bring everybody together, we spend some time, we break bread, we go out to lunch afterwards. And it's just a great way to get to know people beyond the like, hey, Safia, do you have that report ready for me on Thursday?
Although that happens too.
That happens too, for sure.
Yeah, no, this is great. I mean, and especially as you talk about getting to know people as humans, we're bringing it all with us, especially in this hybrid environment. If I'm having a meeting here, there could be total chaos happening right beyond my screen with, family and different dynamics. And so that idea that you take those pause moments, you get to know folks is amazing. So last question, then we'll get out of here. Where and when can folks get this book, Liz? Because I think people are going to need it. It's going to be very timely with all of the changes happening in a lot of the industries and organizations we're working with.
Well, thank you. I hope so. I think the timing of the book is perfect. So if you're interested in getting a sneak peek, you can go to brighterstrategies.com and you can download the first chapter. So that will give you kind of a beginning of the lay of the land. And then the book is going to be available both through our website, but also through Amazon and wherever it is that you prefer to buy your books. Probably in the next 30 days, they'll be up for pre-sale. And then it should hit all the bookstores in the early fall. So, but I would say go to the website, get that sneak peek of chapter 1, again, brighterstrategies.com, and would love to know what you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing some insights into the ripple effect. Congratulations on this book. And thanks for everyone that joined us. We hope to see y'all again at one of our events soon.
Thank you so much. And I have to say a big thank you to my team, because I wouldn't have had the time or the space to write this without everybody supporting. So thank you very much.
All right.